Hi, I'm Law, a forsaken addicted person who enjoys voice acting. And for this video, I want to address the two-time issue, which has been a hotly debated topic in the forsaken community, and I'll be showcasing my standpoint. We will go over several important discussions. Why is two-time a problem? Why does the latest rework sucks? And how I will fix it. But before we begin, here are my credentials. And without further ado, let's go! Two-time is a stealth-based survivor, and trick stabbing is never an intended playstyle. With trick stabbing, two-time players are able to land highly rewarding stabs without the need to be stealthy, which doesn't seem quite fair for many people. However, with how two-time is currently designed, trick stabbing is inevitable and has become one of the core mechanics of two-time's playstyle. Here's why. First, Forsaken is a third-person game with lots of open maps. A simple counter to stealth is to just not play in shift lock and check corners often. That is why playing stealth usually does not work well on pro killers. Next, playing stealth feels passive. Camping in a spot waiting for the killer to walk by is very inconsistent, especially with teammates who don't know teamworks. You'll often find your teammates looping or juking the killer at an open and inconvenient spot for you to perform a stealth stab. And when you finally find a good hiding spot, they either don't know where you are or they don't know how to create an opportunity for you to land a stab. And let's say your teammate finally noticed you and tried to bring the killer to you. Instead of leaving the killer to run past you, they led the killer directly to you, which defeats the whole purpose of stealth. Overall, two-time's dependency on maps and teammates makes playing stealth frustrating. I'm not saying that stealth doesn't work. Many good two-time players utilize both stealth and trick stabbing. It is just highly inconsistent and passive, being how two-time currently is. Now, let's talk about the rework. The changes made on two-time were meant to urge players to play fairly. However, they not only made two-time more frustrating to play as, but it also made them even worse at being stealthy. I will explain the changes and why they don't work as effectively as people expect. Two-time now gradually speeds up when trailing behind the killer while crouched, and crouch stab has become more rewarding. Crouch duration was also increased. This encourages two-time to play stealth by stalking the killer and catching them off guard with a crouch stab. While this sounds good on paper, in reality, killers can easily spot you following them by just turning their camera, especially in open maps like Fjurious resting place and glass house. Moreover, invisibility 3 given by crouch is just not enough for stealth. Oh, and don't get me started on how loud the wind-up sound is. This next change is the one I dislike the most, which is removing the lunge from the base stab. This isn't a change anymore, it straight up nerfed both trick stab and stealth stab. Not only is trick stab harder to execute, the same goes for stealth techniques such as corner stab. Since the hitbox is much shorter now, it has become much more difficult to catch killers off guard. This might just be a skill issue for me, but I found myself missing stabs more often after this rework, even when I'm playing stealth. And I am pretty sure I am not the only one with the same experience. Last but not least, the new oblation system stops two-time from gaining instant healing, and two-time being a sentinel with only 80 HP and 2 seconds stun from trick stabbing means that they've become an easy target for killers. While yes, there are players who are still able to master two-time even after the nerf, they are not the majority. And those insane trick stabs you see on YouTube Shorts or TikTok create an illusion of two-time still being overpowered, when in reality those techs aren't even useful at all, and have a really high fail rate. Right now, two-time just feel horrible to play as from a casual player standpoint. In a nutshell, what used to be a glass cannon survivor got nerfed into a glass shotgun. Now that we have addressed all the issues two-time has, it's time for me to share my rework concept. My idea is heavily inspired by Pursuer from Diodev and Nosferatu. My goal is to eliminate trick stab and make playing stealth feel much more consistent and much less passive. To begin with, we will start with the first ability, stealth. which is a brand new ability that combines Sacrificial Dagger with Crouch and adding in some extra mechanics. This ability has 2 stages. Upon activation, 2-time will enter a crouching state, where they get Invisibility 3 at the cost of being unable to sprint. They cannot exit manually, and the ability will be interrupted if they take damage. It lasts about 6 seconds before entering the stealth stage, where Invisibility 3 gets upgraded to Invisibility 4, and they get Undetectable plus Speed 1. During this stage, that lasts for 15 seconds, 2-time can sprint and walk freely without having to crouch. They can exit this stage manually by using the ability again, performing a basic step that has a 0.2 windup and a small lunge just like the O2 time, accompanied with resistance 1 for 0.7 seconds. Stun time for a backstab increases from 2 seconds to 3.5 seconds, and end lag remains the same. After exiting at any stage, all buffs are removed and the ability goes into a 30-second cooldown. This ability completely removes Trick Stab, since you will get punished if you use this ability during chases. Now that both Stab and Crouch have been combined into one ability, and Trick Stab is dead, how are 2-time able to survive chases? Let me introduce another new ability, Dash. Yes, a simple dash that allows 2-time to travel a short distance without the cost of stamina. If you haven't noticed already, some 2-time players will utilize the Crouch Stab to gain a slight stamina advantage and distance during chases. And I think it would be a great alternative to Trick Stabbing. Not only is the ability great for chases, players can choose to pair this ability with the Stealth ability to catch killers off guard. I'm thinking the Dash ability shouldn't give as much distance as Crouch Stab, being about 22 studs, but it should have a short end lag and activation time at both being 0.1 seconds. A 30-second cooldown seems reasonable, since Dash serves a similar purpose as Elliot's Rush Hour. As for the rest of 2-time's abilities, I don't really have much to say about them, except that the new Oblation system paired with Prey just adds another layer of complexity to 2-time's gameplay. I prefer the old Oblation system due to its simplicity and rather have Prey removed, but keeping them is also fine. I don't think it'll make much difference. In conclusion, this rework concept gutted Trick Stab and introduced abilities that actually makes playing stealth feel consistent. By making 2-time actually hard to see and granting them more mobility, 2-time players no longer need to rely heavily on their teammates and will have a more aggressive stealth playstyle, much like an assassin. Some may argue that this makes stealth overpowered since killer will now require faster reaction speed and more attention to their surroundings in order to counter 2-time. But they completely neglect the fact that this is exactly what 2-time is designed to excel at. The Rework concept makes 2-time a true stealth-based survivor that thrives out of chase. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end. This is my first gameplay video and your support will be appreciated. If you enjoyed the content so far, please like and subscribe. And let's end this video with a LMS gameplay.